Disclaimer, disclaimer, read all about it.
Gone somewhere and dyed my hair now. Wanna be alone. It's much to bear and you don't care, and I wanna play alone. I got you in my sight. I keep all of what you said to me. I get you, get you, get you, get you on your knees. Rewrite all the things you said that I should be. I'll get you, get you, get you. Now you beg me, please. Hey.
Hey, everybody. Hey, Magpie and Carrie. Gmail has been a member for 27 whole months. And who does that in these streets these days? You don't see that. You never see that. So shout out to OG Gma. She is the real MVP for life. For life. All right, guys. Thank you for joining in. I don't go live very often anymore, so it's going to be a small crowd. However, thank you for being here. Carrie, how you doing, girlfriend? Yeah, a lot of people don't know a lot about the case, but they hear about the fuckery. So basically, it's kind of simple terms. Karen Read, as I'm sure you know, is accused of murdering her Boston police officer boyfriend, John O'Keefe, who was found laying in the snow in front of a fellow Boston police officer's home named Brian Albert, who has some pull in, the law enforcement realm and in his town. It kind of creeps out and leaks out to who he's related to and who he has had ties with, and that is kind of the third party culprit that they're saying that someone inside the house murdered John O'Keefe. And there's a bunch of players involved in that, and they're all connected. You know, that corruption story that we rarely ever hear in this amount of detail. So this is why this case is so different, because it's kind of obvious, in my opinion only, that the corruption is just screaming, especially after what you hear today. So I was on Deet's panel, Deets on the Streets. If someone could grab her link and put it in my chat, because that's just how I am. If I name drop a creator, let's drop her link as well. But I was on her panel for a short time, just kind of chit-chatting as we were listening to Trooper Michael Proctor, who has ties to the McCabe's. Who are the McCabe's? They are in relation to the Brian Albert family, and also even the judge has ties. All right. So not good. So one of the things that the defense for Karen Read tried to do was get her off the case because of the confliction, disqualify her. And she was like, nope, I'm good. Thanks. Anyway, I need to control this narrative going on, in my opinion. So I'm not going anywhere. And she didn't. And I think she might regret it. Each day there's a new trial with witnesses, because it's getting really bad for her. Really bad. This morning she was a absolute horrendous mess. And that was because of the Commonwealth, the prosecutor, who screamed foul. Oh no, we can't have your witness come, and talk about the dog bites, because they think that, the dog, Chloe, who is nowhere to be found. We think she's in Vermont. I think that's what Nicole Albert testified to, which is Brian Albert's wife. She had a history of biting folks and even bit two other folks and some animals, another dog, I think, after John O'Keefe's murder. So man, it's just great. It's just full of fuckery. But the Commonwealth didn't want that expert witness to come on who has, I believe, a PhD, who knows all about dog bites, and is the same one that was in the Fed investigation of Karen Reed's investigation. So it's nuts. And this testimony is also within the federal investigation documents provided by a TUI report, meaning the federal investigation received case-related, investigation-related evidence that was introduced through that TUI process. So here we are. All right. It's kind of convoluted, but really at the end of the day, Karen Reed is saying, I did not back into my boyfriend who I dropped off at Brian Albert's house at 34 Fairview in Canton, Massachusetts, because that's what Trooper Proctor, who is on the screen here, this little bag of sunshine, little bald bag of sunshine, and his buddy and supervisor, Bukkake learned that was a either Scandinavian and Russian, Slovakian, something like that. One of them weird ass names. And anyway, he helped, in my opinion, Trooper Proctor conspire against Karen through the evidence part. Now, the ones that actually murdered John O'Keefe is to be disputed, but there's three main key players here: Brian Albert, homeowner; Colin Albert, his nephew; and Brian Higgins. Brian Higgins is kind of a left fielder. He is Brian Albert's friend and had a thing for Karen Reed. And then Karen Reed was like, you know what? I'm just trying to hit it and quit it because I'm having issues with my relationship and you're not playing. You want this serious stuff? Get out of my face. And I don't think he took it too lightly. He was upset about it. Yeah, he's an ATF agent. And so the corruption there was that he was involved in things he shouldn't have been involved in, like, for instance, the taillight inspection. There's a lot of things. So that's pretty much the gist of that. I want to get right into the first testimony of this trooper right here, Massachusetts State Trooper. I can't remember his name right now. I'm going to pull it up in just a second. But he is the only honest state trooper with integrity that has testified so far, in my opinion. He blows their testimony of the taillight and what they observed out of the water. Because he's stating that when Karen Reed's vehicle was put on a trailer, sent to the Canton Police Department to be inspected, he was like, "No, man, no. I'm so sorry. He's a Dighton police officer, not a trooper. I apologize. My bad. Don't make me apologize over and over again to all of the people who has his name. Please don't do that." Inside joke. So this Dighton police officer was like, "No, the taillight just had a crack in it and there was one piece missing," while they were saying, "Oh, it's shattered. You know, you've seen the shattered taillight with 35 plus pieces missing." No, that's not what happened. And so I don't know why they thought, these two right here, these boneheads thought that nobody would speak up on that. I think that they thought that they could bully their way through this. And I don't think it's working out, in my opinion. So let's get into his testimony because it's very short and sweet. And it kind of alleviates the bullshit that's coming out of the other two's mouths. Because you just know immediately, like, how does that work? How does that work? There's 9+ minutes missing of the Sallyport footage. And there's, like, I think a lot more missing from the other Sallyport footage. So there was like 2 different dates where they inspected Karen's car. And so, again, like I've said in my last lives, over time, there was 5 undocumented searches where they just magically find these taillight pieces. And it's always Trooper Proctor is involved, and Bukaki over there, and Chief of Police. I think he's retired now, but Berkowitz. So it's just, man, I don't know how much more corrupt looking you could get with these folks. That's just what I'm going to say. I'm going to pull up the witness testimony. What is his name? I had it down and then I left my notes in the kitchen. Great. Your girl Eve is always on it. Remember that. And then we're going to actually, after the Dighton PD testimony, we're going to go back to the beginning and go over the buffoonery of the judge and Commonwealth and the defense team fighting over this witness, the expert witness. It's
At various points in the
ridiculous.
video, was that something that
There's Bukaki. Hey, Julia T. I'm going to make sure to try to check in with chat these days. I've been bad about it. He was hit by a drunk driver and didn't work again after that. I heard about that, going 70 miles an hour. I saw that on X. And it was in October of 2023. So, you know, he's not actively working. He don't give a shit about what these troopers are say about him. Can't bully him. He's not working there. Okay, here we go. Oh, is that? No, that's proctologist. I mean, Proctor. I mean, this guy's testimony, what, 20 minutes tops, I think? So let's get it.
It came from the Canton Police Department.
Thank you. That's all I have.
All right, Sergeant, you are all set, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Your next witness, Mr. Lally?
Yes, Your Honor. The Commonwealth call Officer Nicholas Barros to the stand.
Okay.
Before I start, can y'all hear that okay? I want to make sure you can hear it. All right, I think we're good now. Let's see.
You so sure the evidence give the court and jury in the case now and here's for the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I did.
So, all right, whenever you're ready, Mr. Lally.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, sir.
Morning.
Could you please state your name and spell your last name for the jury?
Nicholas Barros, Barros.
And how are you employed?
Nicholas Barros.
Town of Dighton.
And what, if any, role or what do
Hey,
you do
Rocco.
for the town of Dayton?
I'm a police sergeant for the
Hey, Mr.
police
Eve.
department.
And how long in total have you been a member of the Dayton Police?
In total, started in 2011, 14 years this December.
And how long have you had the rank of sergeant with the Dayton Police?
A year and a half.
Now, if I could direct your attention to January 29th, 2022. Do you recall that date?
I do.
And were you working that day?
I was.
And do you recall what kind of shift you were working on that occasion?
I was working the 8 to 4, the day shift.
And was that the only shift that you would work on that occasion, or how long had you been on shifts by the time you came on for the 8 to 4?
That particular day, I was working from 8 a.m. to midnight. It was on a double.
Agreed,
Now-
Lacey.
At some point when you first came in, with reference, if you could explain to the jury just briefly or in general terms, when you come on shift for the Dayton Police, what, if any, communication, well, first and foremost, what was your role as far as that particular shift was concerned?
I was the officer in charge that day from 8 a.m. to midnight. When I came in at 8 a.m., the outgoing shift, the midnight to 8 shift, had advised me that a resident had called the police station on a 911 call requesting a ride to Brockton Hospital to meet his daughter due to her daughter's boyfriend passing away, and he needed a ride due to the snowstorm.
And then as your shift continued, what, if any, further contact or who, if anyone, reached out to you in regard to that earlier situation?
Later on, I believe it was around 2:30 in the afternoon, I received a phone call from the Norfolk District Attorney's Office with the troopers assigned there, and they had stated that they were going to come to Dayton to retrieve a vehicle that was involved in a homicide.
And did they give you a specific address as far as where they were going?
I believe the address was 345 Country Hill Drive in Dayton, North Dayton.
And with regard to that address, what, if anything, did you recognize between that and the earlier call that you were just speaking?
That was the address that came up on the 911 call when that gentleman had called earlier on the prior shift.
Okay, so they were going to get Karen Reed's SUV, the Lexus, at Karen's parents' house. And there's a video from the last day 21, which was, I believe, Friday, showing that she was looking in the back, and it made it seem like, oh, she knew from the jump that she was done for, the anti-Karen readers, which they're very silent today, mind you, and you'll see why here in a little bit. But so this is his testimony when, they load up her SUV. He's going to be on scene, and this is his side of things.
And at some point, did you come to find out who the residents were at that address on Country Hill Lane?
I did.
Okay.
Who did you find them to be?
It was the Reed residence.
All right, so Sergeant, I'm going to ask you to keep your voice up, and Mr. Lally, you too.
Everybody's got to keep their voice up because it's everything in this building that they're in is antiquated. It's old. And so when the air conditioner is on, which I think it's like a unit in a window, it's too loud for anyone else to hear over. So speak up. She just keeps saying, I'm going to need you to speak up. Put your mouth in the microphone like I am. It's ridiculous, but.
And the Reed residence was at a William and Janet Reed, is that correct?
Correct.
Now, as far as you received that call at about 2:30, do you know specifically who you spoke to around 2:30 in the afternoon?
Trooper Michael Proctor.
And as far as that earlier information that you were talking about with the 911 call, what, if anything, from that did you impart to Trooper Proctor?
I advised Trooper Proctor that we did receive a 911 call on the midnight to 8 shift about the resident looking to get a ride to Brockton Hospital.
And during that initial call, how was it sort of left as far as what, if anything, you were going to provide as far as assistance or with regard to the troopers on that first call?
On the first call, the troopers just had asked me if I could meet them at that residence as a courtesy since they were coming into my jurisdiction.
And what, if anything, did they indicate to you as far as where they were or when they felt they would be arriving in that area?
Trooper Proctor advised me that they were heading, I believe, from Canton, and once they were about 10 minutes away, they would recontact me so that I could meet them at the residence.
And subsequently, later in that afternoon, did you receive further contact from Trooper Proctor?
I did.
And do you know about what time that was?
I believe the first phone call was around 3 p.m. that he had called me and said that they would be there in about 10 minutes.
And upon receiving that call, what, if anything, did you do?
I had contacted, Trooper Proctor had asked me to contact our tow company to have them meet us at the residence as well. And I said once I hung up with him, I would contact the tow company and then respond to that address on Country Hill Drive.
Is there a specific tow company that the Dayton Police uses with regard to towing of vehicles within the town?
Yeah,
During that
Julia.
period, it was Diamond Towing.
And so did you contact someone at Diamond Towing in reference to responding to that address as well?
I did. I contacted the owner, and he responded.
Now, as far as that area of
Now, shout out to Turtle Boy, Aiden Kearney, who did the, journalism, did all of those articles, and contacted that diamond towing guy, and they said that nah, it wasn't shattered. They're basically saying the same thing that this police officer is about to say, which is it was cracked and there was a piece missing.
Dayton, if you could explain to the jury sort of what you observed as you were coming down towards that residence on that day.
Okay, so when I responded to that address that street is off of 138. When I turned onto Country Hill Drive, I was traveling west. When I arrived on that street, I observed a black pickup truck parked on the street facing east. I was flagged down by that black pickup truck by the driver and was told that they were the troopers that I had spoke to, Trooper Michael Proctor and the other sergeant.
Sergeant that left the room as you were coming in?
Correct.
And what identification did they provide to you in reference to them?
They showed me their ID and their badges.
And then from there, where did you proceed?
I had parked my marked police vehicle at the end of the driveway since it was a snowstorm and we could not get into the driveway. And then we walked up to the residence.
So when you say it was a snowstorm and we couldn't get into the driveway, can you expound upon that a little as far as explain to the jury why was it you couldn't get into the driveway?
There was about a foot of snow in the driveway.
And as far as that snow that you observed when you arrived there, was that snow, how did that snow appear as far as, did it appear as if it had been shoveled or snow blown or untouched, or how did it?
It was untouched.
Now, as you're going through the snow, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's yourself, Trooper Proctor, and the sergeant from the state police, and who, if anyone else, is going along with you?
I had an officer that was field training with me that day, and he was with me as well. And we went up to the residence.
And as you're walking up to the residence, what, if anything, did you come upon as you're going towards, any door or getting closer to the home?
I remained at the garage. The two troopers went to the front door and made contact with the homeowner.
Now, as far as you were there specifically for a vehicle, correct?
Correct.
Did you observe a vehicle in the driveway at any time?
Yes, we observed a black Lexus SUV in the driveway.
And what, if any, observations did you make to the rear area of that vehicle specifically?
At first, I did not go up to the vehicle. I just remained at the driveway and waited for the troopers to come back. And once they came back, they were let into the house through the garage. I had walked in with them briefly and then went back out to the garage and remained with the vehicle.
And as far as
Hey,
any
Nico,
point in
good to
time,
see
did
you.
you have
Thank you.
any conversation with anyone named Karen
Hey,
Reed that day
Lenny.
while you were at the house?
I did not.
Now, with respect to you come back out to the garage, is that correct?
Correct.
And the troopers are inside the house, is that also correct?
Correct.
Now, at some point, do other vehicles come down to the driveway area of this residence that you were at?
I had contacted the highway superintendent after speaking with the troopers about how to retrieve the vehicle since the driveway was untouched and had about a foot of snow. I had made the decision that I would call the highway superintendent and see if that he would come and plow the driveway so that the tow truck would have access inside in the driveway.
And just in reference to this driveway, just if you could, not exact footage or anything, but how close is this Lexus SUV parked in relation to the roadway? How long is that driveway? May I have a moment, John?
Yes.
Process of that, do you know about how long that took?
I'd say another 10 minutes or so.
And as far as the time that the troopers went into the house, at some point the troopers obviously came out of the house, correct?
Correct.
You know about how long it was that they were inside of the house?
More than 30 minutes, less than an hour.
Now, at any point in time that while you were
Now, I wanted to remind everybody, this is the part that blows my mind, is that Trooper Proctor and Bukaki are looking at her phone as she's, putting in her passcode, Karen Reed, and they remember it. Okay? So when you're hearing about, here in a minute, all of the disgusting, vile things. And that's just an understatement of what he said about Karen Reed and what his intentions were from the jump. He remembered her passcode when she was typing it in to give them more information. That in itself is disgusting, right? Just the mere fact that they were plotting, in my opinion, at that moment to do some nefarious stuff. Because I don't know about any ladies in the chat who may have, been dating somebody that's a little crooked, doing some crooked shit. And so, you try to find ways to get into their phone, maybe get their passcode or whatever. It's intentional. You're trying to be sneaky and catch somebody into something or whatever. It's kind of the same thing with these troopers. They are predators against her. They already had it in their mind 2 hours before even seeing the SUV with the text messages that you're about to hear that she was guilty. That is how bad this case is. And the corruption is just blatant. They already had it in their minds. She was guilty. But I think honestly, I disagree with that. That's what a lot of people are saying. I think they knew damn well she was innocent from the jump and needed to cover for family. Family, friends, whatever you want to call it. A powerful family with a lot of strings and a lot of pull. That's just how it is. And it's a lot of people just were scoffing so hard, which, somebody I used to sleuth with named Z, the audacity to see some of the shit she was saying on Twitter. It's like, you're smarter than this, honey. It really has like torn friends apart on Twitter and in real life. Like, this is a big deal, a huge deal. It shows how much power people who either plead 100% loyalty to law enforcement and or just don't want to hear the fact that corruption exists because it conflicts with their ideology. It really has changed people's relationships, personal lives that have nothing to do with this case. It's wild.
Did you yourself or did you see anyone else touching or making any contact or manipulating or anything in that rear passenger side area of either the taillight or the dented?
I did not.
I'm sorry.
I did not.
Can I have a moment, Ron?
Yes.
That would be me, Lacey. Real quick, because Lacey was like, if you're from a small town, I'm from a small town. My grandmother was murdered in the middle of the night. Everybody knew who did it. But because he was a good old boy, when the charges came, they dropped him. I mean, we all know what happened. We all know who did it. It was just the circumstances of who he was and what pull he had. Period. That was it. That's why she'll never get that justice. I'm sorry to hear that, Lacey.
Thank you, sir. I have no further questions.
Okay, cross-examination? No questions. All right, Sergeant Barrows, you are all.
So on Twitter, the anti-Karen readers were like, oh my God, why didn't the defense cross-examine? Why would they need to? He just helped test their whole defense. The taillight was cracked and there was a piece missing. That's exactly what the tow truck driver said to Aiden Kearney. So he didn't lie. Why would they need to? Look at Karen. How about that? It's very interesting to see this little heifer right here. Jackie smirk and be her little self. This is Paul O'Keefe, John O'Keefe's brother, and his wife, Erin. They look extremely uncomfortable today. I could see why. Definitely see why.
All set, so
Thank
thank you.
Okay, so we're going to jump back to the beginning and get through the doo-doo with Auntie Bev and the voir dire details about that expert witness about the dog bites from the federal investigation. And I believe an ER doctor is also included in this. It's not from the federal investigation, so like Auntie Bev perked up a little bit. But because, it's an ER doctor and a pathologist who has seen, dog bites, they want to use her as an expert. Oh, yes, Lacey, and Bev pissed me off too. She was ready to box. That's what she was ready to do. Look, she came in hot. She's usually not like that. She's slow and calculating, but now she's like, let's do this. Let's go.
Court is open. You may be seated. 22-117 Commonwealth versus Karen Reed. Counsel and Your Honor, just for your information, at this very second, FTR is not running. Ms. King is the official anyways, and she's on the record.
Okay. All right. Good morning. So we're here on the Commonwealth's renewed motion. Can we turn off one of those air conditioners, please? The Commonwealth's renewed motion for reciprocal discovery and the motion to exclude the defendant's newly provided expert, Dr. Marie Russell.
The audacity, by the way, if you don't know, the defense, or excuse me, the Commonwealth, here's Lally Laughlin, I think her name is, or McLaughlin, I don't know, and somebody else. This is obviously the prosecution. They have the audacity to say, you need to do more about the Rule 14. It's not meeting that obligation, when they have habitually delayed evidence to the defense, intentionally, purposefully calculating it so that they cannot do their own independent research and investigation into the evidence. It has been a fucking shit show. So when you hear the Commonwealth bitch about this, it's like the audacity of you. But it's because they have nothing else. They are clawing at the bit for anything to help them. They have yet to prove a thing. The only quote unquote evidence that they have is from what you're about to hear, corrupt ass troopers, right? I mean, yes, Lenny, I can't express how blatantly corrupt this is. And I don't know how other people can't see it. But anyway, that's what this is about. Let's get it.
I will hear you on your motion, Mr. Lally.
Morning, Your Honor.
Oh, I'll hear you, Ms. McLaughlin.
Essentially, the Commonwealth is just seeking that the defendant produce what the Commonwealth is entitled to under Rule 14 and what every criminal defendant in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts must produce to the prosecution. It was not until the day prior to trial on April 15, 2024, that the defendant provided notice of all their experts. During jury impanelment, the Commonwealth filed a renewed motion for reciprocal discovery, and the defendant was ordered within a week to produce the expert opinion testimony that the Commonwealth is entitled to. We are now entering, I believe, week 8 of the trial. The Commonwealth has not received any intended expert opinions, anything that those experts, any written reports, opinions, or anything that those experts have based their opinions on. Essentially, the defendant's strategic decisions not to retain their own expert, but rather rely on the U.S. Attorney's Office investigation does not alleviate them or relieve them from their Rule 14 obligations. As it pertains to Dr. Marie Russell, the Commonwealth did not receive notice that she's an intended expert until about week 6 of the trial on May 21st, and it wasn't until May 30th that the defendant provided a brief synopsis of what her expected testimony would be. Essentially, and looking at the balancing tests set forth by the case law, the Commonwealth was extremely surprised by this disclosure, and further, the
Oh, you were? Really? Well, remember that time that you said that you sent off the warrant for the Ring video, but you kind of didn't get that information back? Remember when you said that you sent the non-human human hair off for DNA testing, and then you dragged it on and on and on, and then Attorney Little busted your ass because you didn't do it until after the fact when you were caught? You were caught lying because they got the communication logs from the lab. You remember that time that the court was forced to get the Verizon phone records of Jim McCabe, but the court officer here that works with the judge never followed up. They received the Verizon records, but it was wrong. It was incorrect. Never said a word. Delayed and delayed and delayed. And it didn't get here until, I think, a week ago. Less than a week ago. Remember that? So that's just maybe 10% of the fuckery that's gone on in this case. There's so much more even on my Twitter or X if you want to go check it out. It's ridiculous.
The Commonwealth would put that the defendant's delayed decisions to produce reciprocal discovery is in bad faith. It is intended to ambush the Commonwealth and conduct a trial by surprise. We are still receiving reciprocal.
Even she said, now you know damn well we're wrong for this, right?
discovery. Over the weekend, we received additional photographs that the defendant intends to use. The Commonwealth is extremely prejudiced by these delayed disclosures. So looking at all the balancing factors, exclusion of Dr. Russell is really the only remedy that's appropriate given that we are in week 8 of the trial. The Commonwealth cannot seek a continuance. The Commonwealth has their hands tied with how to effectively prepare for cross-examination of that witness as well as all the other witnesses. We don't have any materials. We don't know what the experts' precise opinions are and what they were testified to. And it's essentially, it is in bad faith and there's no less severe sanction. So the Commonwealth would move to exclude Dr. Russell. And at this point, we are essentially just seeking the reciprocal discovery that the Commonwealth is entitled to be able to effectively prepare cross-examination of these witnesses so late in the game. Thank you very much.
All right, who's
Bev, get your damn nose out of that microphone. Lord. I did post on Twitter. I keep calling it Twitter. It's X now. But do you know the movie Liar Liar? Remember that movie? Hilarious. He plays, Jim Carrey plays an attorney, and he's representing the blonde-haired lady, who's having an affair, trying to take that man's money. And he goes, Your Honor, I object. And the judge says, what's your cause? Because it's devastating to my case. Well, that's what I posted as the entire Commonwealth's position of this case. Objection, this really hurts my cause. That's about it.
arguing this for the defendant?
There's no mic at council table, so I'm going to go to the podium with the court's permission.
Now, David Yannetti, is pissed. Woo doggy, he's mad. And I don't blame him, but Judge Cannoni is going to gaslight the shit out of him and say, no more hyperboles, sir. Get to the point. And it pissed me off because his speeches are one of my, it's like gold in this trial. Wakes you up, perks you up.
We need to be heard on this.
That's why we're here, Mr. Yannetti.
Thank you. I'd like to start with the most outrageous and false assertion that the Commonwealth made in its motion.
Can I just ask you, there's no jury here. Can I just ask you how long this is going to take?
Between 5 and 10 minutes.
Okay. Because I don't need, the hyperbole.
Your Honor, I need to make my argument in the way that I think is most effective for my client. I will keep this brief and succinct, but I have points to make that I need to put on record.
Okay, and I'm the person you are trying to convince.
Did you not hear what he just said? It ain't about you, Beverly. It's not always about you, ma'am. I know that you're the judge and that you make decisions. You're the, Brewster of the hen house. Got it. Okay. He's telling you he's got to put it on the record. So let the man put it on the record.
Correct.
I understand that. The Commonwealth, in a public filing, wrote the following on page 3 of its motion. Quote, during a pretrial hearing on February 15th, when asked by the court whether there was any dispute about a canine's involvement or canine DNA, Attorney Yannetti indicated no, and that the defense was not pursuing such claim. I was astounded to read that for 2 reasons. First of all, it is false.
Hey,
it is a lie. Second, the Commonwealth has knowingly lied about something where it's easily verifiable that they lied. We pulled the tape from February 15th.
I don't have that And
sorry?
I don't have that in my motion.
It's on page 3, Your Honor.
I have the Commonwealth's renewed motion for reciprocal discovery, a motion to exclude defendant's expert, Dr. Marie Russell.
You're bringing out the Yeti and the Anetti. Man, you better watch yourself.
I don't see your name at all, Ms. Gianetti. I'm on page 3.
Sorry, it's not page 3, it's page 4. My apologies. My name is right there on page 4. It says exactly what I just argued to the court.
See my name, say my
It's about
name.
the 5th line down. Starts during a final pretrial hearing on February 15th, exactly
Okay.
as I said.
Okay?
All right? We pulled the tape from that February 15th hearing. Here is what was actually said. This court asked me the following, quote, while we're talking about DNA, Mr. Yannetti, do we need to be concerned about canine DNA? Where do we stand with that? I replied, no, I think this is the only outstanding DNA issue. The court then replied, okay, so all right, we're not dealing with canine DNA. And I said, no. There is nothing in there, contrary to what the Commonwealth has represented to this court in a public filing, that I said there was no canine involvement. There is nothing in there, contrary to what the canine represented to this court and to the public, that the defense was not pursuing such a claim. Can you imagine the nerve of the Commonwealth to spin that into...
This is the hyperbole.
Ooh. Miss Ma'am, look, oh God, if I were Karen Reed, if it was the Eve versus the Commonwealth in Massachusetts, I would have already been charged with about 16 other criminal charges. A lot of assault and batteries, a lot of contempt, and probably a few intimidating a witness erroneously, because that's just what they do. Just 'cause I threw that in there because that's just how they treat people over there. But bless Karen Reed for having the wherewithal to shut up and just let her attorneys do the thing, because not me. Not me. Anger issues.
I don't need. Could you please get to the point?
Your Honor,
We've got a jury coming in 15 minutes.
I understand, but this is my integrity has been attacked. There have been allegations of bad faith that has been attacked, and I need to defend myself and my client.
Thank you,
We were
OG.
only discussing at that time whether canine DNA was still outstanding, and I succinctly replied, no. And they've spun that, or tried to spin that, into a claim that we're somehow waiving our right to argue that John O'Keefe's arm injuries were consistent with a dog attack. And I ask you, have they no shame? I'm sure it's not lost on this court that this false filing by the Commonwealth comes on the heels of their nefarious attempt to pass off an inverted video, a false video, before this good jury hearing this case. Never once during the direct examination of Sergeant Buchanan did they inquire or mention the fact that the video...
Can we please, all right, I'm going to stop you. Please direct your comments to Rule 14 and the reciprocal discovery obligations that the defense has. That's what this motion is. I know you have a speech you want to make, Ms.
It's
Gianetti.
not a, Your Honor, it's, most respectfully, it's not a speech. It's
Okay,
it's a defense of being alleged to have committed bad faith.
So you've moved on from that. So please just focus on Rule 14.
Yeah, OG Mon had a great point. Hyperbole means that you're exaggerating details, right, that are not true, that are in bad faith false claims. Those are not false claims. This is exactly what happened. So she got it wrong. But I get that she's like, let's just move along. Tell me exactly what you need, what I need to do, what they need. Let's work it out. I do understand her point of view, but he's pissed because his reputation is on the line. He's worked hard to get where he is. This man is not just some Yutz defense attorney. Go look at his past. Go look at the things he has accomplished. It's amazing. I had no idea. So I get that. You're not going to, the Commonwealth isn't going to put some bad shit on my reputation. Miss Ma'am, I worked hard for this. I do the same.
14, and let's do it in two separate parts. So you've changed, you're not calling Frank Sheridan,
No,
right?
we are calling Frank Sheridan.
All right, so you've got a new,
She's not even paying attention. She doesn't even know, or probably hasn't even read the motion itself. I just don't get it.
medical, Dr. Russell. We'll do that part of it separately. Tell me about what you've provided the Commonwealth on Chris Van E.
They've gotten his CV and they've gotten the substance of his opinion from us. And they've had that for a long time. And the court, I believe, has already suggested that voir dire will be done prior to his testimony.
All right, so it's starting to look like we might need a whole.
That was established in a pretrial motion, and I remember that. I remember, I believe, Yannetti coming out on the bail hearing to reduce her bail, which is probably the most iconic bail reduction motion I've ever heard in my life, because that's where the third party culprit comes out to play a little bit. I've never heard anything like that. So I think that is when it was established, that from the TUI reports and all of that stuff. I mean, this expert came from that. They knew about this. They knew that this was in the 3,000-page TUI report that was given to them by the feds. Are they really shocked? And he is explaining right here exactly what was said in court. And I believe, in my own opinion, no one else's, just mine right now, that this word salad was used against Yannetti unknowingly at the time, because that's how the courts play games. Well, especially the prosecution. I think this was a setup for sure.
Whole day of voir dire, and I'm trying to avoid that. So is the Commonwealth satisfied that when did you provide anything recently since the filing of the Commonwealth's motion, Mr. Yannetti?
Not on Mr. Vanny, no.
What does the Commonwealth have on Mr. Van E?
On Mr. Vanny, all the Commonwealth has is what's contained, the synopsis on page 2.
Federal government, and they provided a report to us.
Starting to look.
Ultimate opinions are. Anything beyond that relatively vague.
Yeah, Julia, you're about to say
that
it.
does not comply with Rule 14.
Okay.
Similarly, what's outlined in the rest of the motion, that's all the expert evidence the Commonwealth has received from the defense is contained within the Commonwealth's motion.
Okay. So the defense needs to provide, I'd suggest you listen, the defense needs to provide what chronological data Mr. Van E relied upon and exactly what his opinion is.
Sure.
All right? By the close of business tomorrow.
That's fine.
All right? Now,
So by the close of business tomorrow, that has to be put in summary form, I'm sure, which is easy to do. It really is. But getting these witnesses on short notice without knowing exactly when they're supposed to be there is an issue. And I think voir dires can be iffy on that, right? Like, I know that they're supposed to know that they could be called into court with an estimation, but from what I understand and what I hear, if they're not available, too bad, so sad, your loss, moving on. And that's exactly how Bev's acting right now. So I'm hoping that this does not affect these expert witnesses from testifying. I hope that they're available. I'd probably figure out a way to incentivize them to get there. I don't know how. Can you do that? Is that legal? I don't know. But this is kind of concerning.
regarding the 3 experts from ARCCA. So I've read that report. I can't tell who does what or what the basis of their opinion is. So what have you provided?
Your Honor, we've provided everything that we know. We've mentioned to this court at sidebar, these experts did not arise from us.
I understand that.
These experts were hired by the federal government, and they provided a report to us pursuant to the TUI request, and it was specifically outlined that and ruled that they could not prep with us for trial.
So I'm to believe that the defense is calling 3 witnesses that you've never spoken to and putting them on the stand here
That's essentially it. We've spoken to them only for the purposes of coordination of their testimony and their background. That's it. We have not been able.
Why does the judge care about that? Oh my God. Like, to be honest with you, that expert witness should have been the flag that the red flag of, are these charges even correct? Should we dismiss these charges on her? In my personal opinion, one of many pieces of evidence and testimony, expert testimony, should have been her dismissal of charges, in my opinion. Should have been one of the many things to make that decision. But no. We had to keep going with this charade, in my opinion. So for her to say that, it's just the audacity.
Able to interview them regarding their findings, which are outlined in detail in the reports that both sides have.
See, I don't see that as being, the report, I don't see that as being detailed. It leaves a lot of questions as the gatekeeper as to what they can testify to.
Well,
And you have not complied with your Rule 14 obligations.
We can't, Your Honor. We can't.
So you can't, but you haven't. So I am left with, you haven't
So you can't. Good Lord. So since you can't, and I know that, and you haven't, I got a rule on it. Wow. That's like saying you need to get here for work at 8 a.m. I know that you can't change a tire and you're waiting for the tire to come, but they're out of stock. So since you can't, I got to fire you. Fucking bitch. I have to say it. Bev, you're a bitch. With all of the disrespect. Like, if I were sitting in a court hearing this, where my life is on the line, you're lying on my name, this will never go away. You're saying I killed a Boston police officer who was my boyfriend, and I was taking care of his kids, and we got into a fight about buying breakfast and spoiling the kids. Like, listen, I would be so hot and heated. I'm telling you. And for her to say that is definitely prejudicial. She is definitely going to be looked at. If she isn't looked at through this federal investigation, because they did say they were looking into the prosecution of it, meaning the ADA, the Commonwealth. If she is not part of that, I'd be shocked. One day her name may just be part of that whole thing. We'll see.
complied. So we need to get everybody here for voir dire. They can testify in voir dire, right?
Yes.
We need to do that well in advance of their testimony.
Okay, that's fine, Your Honor.
All right.
Yep.
And now tell me about this ER doc. Is she an ER doc? I haven't seen her. She's not a pathologist,
Well,
correct?
she's a pathologist, but she has a lot of experience in an ER, which is why she has the experience of having seen dog scratches and dog bites and dog attacks.
All right. So this is not somebody that was involved in the federal investigation, correct?
Correct.
All right. So you need to provide immediately. I want a voir dire of her this week. So we
Right.
can get her here Wednesday, and we want the other folks up here from Pennsylvania this week as well.
We'll make those calls.
So we need to pick a day. How long do you expect the voir dire of each of these witnesses? If, in fact, the defense has not spoken to these witnesses from Pennsylvania about the nature of their opinion, you must want it too, to be able to question them. How long do you expect the voir dire of each of these witnesses to take? I went and told the jury last week,
I'm sorry.
last week that we were going to get them this case by the end of the month based on your representations, which included voir dires. It looks like at least a day of voir dire hearings here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Again, who decided on all of these damn voir dires? You did, because you made the rules so damn difficult for the defense. That's why they're having this issue. Bev is her own worst enemy on this, and now she's slapping the wrist of the defense and Karen because she made it this way. This is one of the worst judges I've seen in a hot minute. That's for sure. I don't know. Delphi's pretty bad. The judge in that case, I think is worse actually. But yeah, one of the at least top 3 in the last few years.
Of having seen
So-
dog scratches and dog bites.
the sound is like, for some reason, disconnects here. So I don't know if any other place had it fixed.
Billy
But
Wick, he anticipates that unless there are, a substantial number of objections during the voir dire, he anticipates being able to accomplish that between 45 minutes to an hour with each of those three. With regard to Dr. Russell, we anticipate a half hour. Oh, I'm sorry, you're only two from Market, that's right.
You're only calling two? Which two? Are you calling the two that are certified as accident reconstructionists?
Drs. Rentschler and Wolf. Yes.
here's where it cuts out. So basically they have to get them here within the week. I think Wednesday they have to have it pretty much like, here's what's going on. Here's what they're going to testify and use in their expert testimony. And I think the end of the week, I think that's what she just said, that they'll have the voir dire for that day. It's insane. So that craziness happened. And then, of course, Bukkake kind of got blasted by Jackson. We're going to, if we have time, we'll go back to Bukkake. But I want to jump straight to Proctor Trooper. That's what Jen McCabe called him, because she was so nervous and caught up because Jackson had her cornered. All right. So the lovely, everybody, round of applause for Trooper Michael Proctor. Let's get into it. Shoot. The things he says, guys, if you haven't watched it and haven't heard it, just hold on to your booty cheeks.
We're back to session. You may be seated.
Bev be looking haggard early.
All right, Mr. Lally, your next witness, please.
Yes, Your Honor, the Commonwealth to call Trooper Michael Proctor to the stand.
I did the boo, OG.
Morning, Your Honor. Morning, jurors.
The stenographer's going to have to do some Hail
All right, Mr.
Marys.
Lally, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Would you please state your name and spell your last name for the jury?
Yeah, Trooper Michael Proctor, Proctor.
And how are you employed, sir?
I am currently assigned to the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office in the Homicide Unit within the Massachusetts State Police.
I also wanted to mention, and I put this on Twitter X, I bet the farm, as Plevin from Yellow Cottage Tale says, there is going to be some divorces in the near future. That's all I'm going to say.
How long have
Trooper, I'm going to ask you to keep your voice up loud, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
And sir, if you want, that microphone in front of you is adjustable, so how close or far away you want. Now, how long have you been a trooper with State Police?
For over 10 years, and it'll be 5 years in September with the Homicide Unit.
Now, with reference to your work with the Homicide Unit, with the Detective Unit, to that conversation, what, if anything, did you learn? Did you receive a call in regard to a situation in the town of Canton?
I did.
And what, if anything, was that? When did you first receive that call from them?
Sergeant Buchanan called me at approximately 6:48 that Saturday morning, advised that Canton PD had a male party that was discovered in the snow outside of a residence, and he wasn't sure what had happened. It was originally given to me as a possible medical situation.
And based on that initial call and that initial information that you received, what, if anything, did you do?
He forgets that the narrative was already spinning, that apparently there might have been a domestic violence situation where he was struck in the face with a cocktail glass. I feel like that's probably leakage of the actual truth of maybe what happened to him. Maybe he was ambushed by a cocktail glass. That's what I think. Not from Karen, from whatever happened in the house. That's just my speculation. It's not a fact. and don't take it as one and spread it around. That's just something that I feel might be a possibility of what happened to John.
And at that point, I knew I needed to gather further information, so I contacted Detective Lank from Canton Police Department to see exactly what transpired in the morning. He had informed me that a male party had been transported to Good Samaritan Hospital with some injuries. Detective Lank didn't have much more information, so I knew I needed to contact the paramedic at the hospital, the individual who's treating Mr. O'Keefe.
Which one was that? Which paramedic was that? Or was it a firefighter paramedic? Was it Flamati? Can't remember the testimony. Was it McLaughlin? Or was it one of the others? I wonder. I'll have to go look back at the testimony.
Now, before we get to that, if I could, I'm sorry. As far as Detective Sergeant Lank was concerned, was that someone that you called on your own, or how did you get his information, or why did you call him specifically?
I knew he was on scene, so I called Detective Lank.
So that was some information that you had received at some
There it
point
is.
earlier, and then you contacted, Detective Sergeant Lank.
Correct.
And following that, you reached out to whom? I'm sorry.
This firefighter Anthony Flamati.
And
Aha. I did skip around this morning. I had the baby, so I was all over the place. So Flamati, that's why he was getting grilled so hard by the defense, because of that call to Trooper Proctor. If you, in this case, if you had any phone call, text, or breathed his way, in this case, you're going to get the nth degree, because that's just how corrupt this guy is, in my opinion.
with reference to that conversation, what, if anything, did you learn from that?
Firefighter Flamati informed me that
I'm going to allow it.
Firefighter Flamati informed me that Mr. O'Keefe had some injuries to his right arm, some abrasions to his right arm, some injuries to his eyes, a cut to the nose area, and he put a 10% chance of survival for Mr. O'Keefe.
And then based on that information, who did you call next?
I contacted Sergeant Buchanan, advised him that this sounds like it's more than a medical situation.
And what, if any, decision did you and Sergeant Buchanan come to with regard to what to do, or where to go, or what the next steps should be?
So there's a couple different steps. Number one, it was blizzard conditions, and we operate, Ford Fusions or Chevy Malibu. So we got authorization to use our personal vehicles that are four-wheel drive, and to meet at Canton PD and to speak with the responding officers.
And about what time was it that you and Sergeant Buchanan arrived at the Canton Police Department?
It was approximately 10 a.m. that morning.
And so, Trooper Proctor, if I could ask you, whereabouts were you at about 8:22 in the morning?
Home.
Had you shoveled out of your driveway at that time?
Not yet.
Had you cleaned up your car at that time?
No.
So you arrived at the Canton Police Station about 10 a.m. or so. When was it that you arrived in relation to Sergeant Buchanan, if you know?
Yeah, Canton PD?
Yes.
I don't recall if Sergeant Buchanan arrived first or myself.
But suffice it to say, at some time you both arrived around 10 a.m., is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And where did you go with the Canton Police when you arrived there?
We spoke with the Sergeant Sean Good.
And what, if anything, did you learn from Sergeant Good?
Sergeant Good informed us that while he was on scene, he identified Kerry Roberts, Jennifer McCabe, Karen Reed. He also informed us that Jennifer McCabe was out early in the night at a waterfall bar in Canton with some individuals, and that she was the one who called 911 when they found Mr. O'Keefe in the snow that morning.
Now, with regard to the parties that you just mentioned, prior to January 29th, 2022, had you ever met or were you aware of either Jennifer McCabe or Kerry Roberts or Karen Reed or John O'Keefe?
I've never met any of them.
Ooh, why you always lying? You know damn well you knew at least Kerry Roberts. Quit lying. Turtle Boy already did all that hard work for us. Just know he is lying.
And at some point subsequent, did you have occasion to meet and speak with Ms. Reed?
Yes.
And do you see Ms. Reed in the courtroom today?
I do.
Just for clarification purposes, if you could identify as to where she's seated or an article of clothing that she's wearing.
She's seated between Mr. Jackson and Mr. Yannetti wearing a pinstripe sport coat.
Just ask the record reflect identification of the defendant.
Yes.
Now, after you speak with Sergeant Good, did you speak with anybody else at the Canton Police Station?
No.
And where did yourself and Sergeant Mechanic go from there?
We then traveled to the home of Matthew and Jennifer McCabe.
Now, with reference to when I say
How interesting. Straight to Jen's house. Never goes into Brian Albert's house where John O'Keefe was laying on his front yard. Doesn't seem to cross their mind. Because Lank had already gotten all the 411 and Seraph. And Good. Sergeant Good. Or is it Lieutenant? Whichever. Okay. Makes sense to me. Not.
you and Sergeant Buchanan, at how long a period of time was it that
Good night,
you were
Julia.
with Sergeant Buchanan on that date of January 29th?
From 10 a.m. approximately, we met at Canton Police Department until we returned to the Canton Police Department that afternoon around.
Yes.
All right, so we're going to skip all the nitty gritty, if you don't mind, so we can get to the meat and potatoes of today. And then I'm going to sign off with some hilarious stuff that has been floating on X to lighten the mood, because there are some brilliant, funny people out there in Massachusetts or up in the States that I have to share with you guys. Oh, Lally.
But just generally speaking, do you recognize what's
Yes.
introducing the next 8 exhibits? Just with respect to those items, were they generally found, or were they specifically found?
As acquaintances.
Sorry, my
All right. Mr.
my timestamp is not correct. Hold on.
That's how the DNA of saliva is collected.
Now, with respect to Christopher and Julie Albert and Colin Albert, we'll throw him in there as well. How would you sort of describe your relationship with them prior to January 29th, 2022?
I classified as acquaintances.
Boy,
All
bye.
right. Mr. Lally, why don't we take our luncheon break?
Yeah, good idea, Bev. Save the day. She knows how to do those breaks just at the right time. When Lally is digging himself a hole and making a hill for the defense. So let's go. I think it happens right after this. As they're coming back from lunch, I believe. We're going to fly through this.
What, if any, impact did those relationships have with regard to your interviews of them specifically, or the investigation in total?
Zero. Absolutely zero impact on this investigation.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
So he's prepping the jury because he's like, oh shit, they're going to hear some bad stuff about what I said regarding Karen Reed and the unethical, immoral, and just straight up, in my opinion, illegal actions that he did to Karen Reed, meaning going through her phone without a search warrant, accessing client privilege conversations.
Who are sort of the participants in this particular test? Is that?
Yes.
And what do you recognize it to be?
It's a text message thread labeled
Here we
Proctor
go.
Friends.
Now, over the course of your investigation, over the course of this case, you're aware that there were iCloud data that was obtained from your personal cell phone.
Yes.
And different text strings from that iCloud data from your personal cell phone, correct?
Correct.
And with respect to what has just been placed before you, is that an excerpt or a piece from those particular messages?
It is.
And from the front page of that, can you tell the jury who are sort of the participants in this particular text communication?
There's several numbers that aren't identified. The three that are under kind of nicknames me and my buddies have for each other.
And generally speaking, just as far as the participants in this text communication, who are these people to you, and how do you know them? How long have you known them? Who are they?
The members on this text thread are close friends from junior high, first grade even.
So people you've known for years, is that correct?
Correct.
And do each of them live, or do any of them?
So some of these people were people that he grew up with. Does he speak on cases that he's not supposed to speak on? Active investigations? Oh no. That's not good.
Them live within the general area at this time?
Some of them do, yes.
And so when some of them do, some of them do not, is that correct?
Correct.
And the ones that do not, how far away do they live?
As far away as Tennessee.
Now, with reference to this, there's an indication as far as the first message sent or last message sent from this particular text chain, correct?
I'm sorry, repeat the question, please.
Sort of towards the middle of the first page. Direct your attention to that area. Is there any indication as far as the first message sent and the last message sent with respect to this text chain?
On the first page, yes.
And what is indicated as far as the first message and the last message?
The first message is, I need to brandish a gun more often. The last is, Chip, name of that BPD cop.
No, I'm sorry, sir. If I could direct your attention to the first page in this packet, page 2527, you see conversation details. I'm sorry, may I approach?
Yes.
Oh my God, this is so goofy. Watch this. Oh God.
You see what I was talking about now?
I do, sir.
Point to where you said the bad shit about Karen and read it.
And from that area labeled conversation details, there's a first message sent date and time and a last message sent date and time, correct?
Yes.
Okay. What is the first message sent date and time?
It's 10/18 of 2021 at 8:48 a.m. The last message sent is 8/31/2022 at 11:19 p.m.
So from October of 2021, they pull his data, okay? His call information, text information. All the way up until what, August of 2022? What was you saying all the way back in October of 2021? I wonder why they got that length of time, data from that length of time. I'm very interested. On Deet's panel, I was mentioning Sandra Birchmore, which is a case where one of the Canton PD officers is not really involved in, but responded to the scene of a woman who was allegedly murdered by a police officer who was having an affair with her and who had a predator who had relations with, and other cops had relations with her when she was young, like 15. All right. Jump forward, she's 20, I think 3, and she's pregnant with a cop who is married, with the cop's baby, and who is married and just had his kid. So there might be some corruption there. There's kind of like something going on in the chatter. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if they're related, but there has been mentions of maybe there's a connection to these troopers in that case. I don't know.
And is there also within that conversation details an indication as far as number of messages over that time frame within this communication?
There is.
And what does it list for number of messages?
It's 38,707.
And fair to say the packet that you have before you does not contain all 38.
I do not talk that much, but I do have that many screenshots and probably double that actually.
1,707 messages, correct?
That's correct.
The first message that you had, I believe, alluded to in reference to the first one listed within this communication. What date and time is that?
That was January 29th, 2022 at 10:36 p.m.
And who is that message from?
My friend who lives in Tennessee.
And what, if anything, did he send to the group?
I need to brandish a gun more often.
And if you know, what is that in reference to?
Wait, doesn't Brian Higgins have a friend in Tennessee that he went to go do a benefit for? And asked Karen Reed, you should come. Remember that? The guy got shot in the head or something, and it was a benefit for him. I wonder if there's a connection there.
He just recently moved to Tennessee, and he was kind of, I think, making a joke as...
oh, maybe I was wrong. Well,
kind of the lifestyle down there where it comes more prominent or more common to be carried around there. So I interpreted that as a joke in that nature.
And the next message, sir, from that same page, 2527.
The next one is, it's bold.
And is there a name associated with that number that's in these?
No,
Do you know who that person is?
I don't.
And the next message, sir?
Yes,
And that's from a 617 number, is that correct?
correct.
And what is the response there?
Oh man, that's rough.
And following that, do you respond to the earlier query as far as age?
I do.
And what did you say?
Mid-40s.
Now, the next message below that, as far as indication of mid-40s, what is that?
His age.
No, I understand that. I'm sorry. The next message underneath that, sir.
I'm sorry. It's a Facebook link.
And do you recall what that Facebook link is to?
It's to John O'Keefe.
And is that something you sent or one of your friends sent?
One of my friends sent.
And the next message below, turning to now page 2529 at the top there, what is the next message that's sent?
What's that? Don't have the book anymore.
And as far as the book, what did you understand that to mean?
Make me approach.
Sure.
Surrounding Google users' privacy through their
Poor
incognito
Karen.
browser. So if you've used Google,
She's like, if I have to do one more of these sidebars, I swear I'm gonna snap. I'm gonna lose it. You know me, I would have already done that. All right, we're back. That was a long ass sidebar.
And there's a message there sent at 10:56 p.m. Is that correct?
Yes.
And who's that from?
A friend who lives in Tennessee.
And what does he say in that text?
I'm sure the owner of the house will receive some shit.
And you respond at 10:56 as well as 10:57. Is that correct?
Correct.
And what is it that you respond?
My first response was nope. Homeowner is a Boston cop too.
And
Ooh.
what, if anything, were you saying, or what was the purpose of that text in regard to the homeowner?
I was just letting him know that essentially Mr. O'Keefe is a Boston cop and the homeowner was a Boston cop as well.
Now, if I could turn your attention to 2533.
Yeah, he's used to this kind of stuff. He's not gonna be mad. We got him. We got his back.
And top of the page, sir, if you could read through that page as far as who's texting and what do they say?
Again, for my friend from Tennessee and myself, I hope not, but I can't see it. I responded with, she waffled him. I looked at his body at the hospital. He was banged up.
So, Dietz, I, and the panel were all kind of like, what the hell is waffling? Well, I didn't say much, but I was thinking waffling like crumbled him, messed him up. And I think that's the consensus, is that waffling means tore him up. He's a mess.
Now, as far as the next text from a 781 number, what does that say?
Did he get beat up?
And you responded to that, is that correct?
I did.
The objection sustained is deferred.
What, if any, response did you provide to that?
Nope.
Hey, Grits, thank you for stopping by, lovely.
I'll strike it.
Now, turning your attention to 2534. And from this page, sir, if you could, again, just read through as far as indicating to the jury who's speaking and what is being said.
From the start of the first text, so the owner of the house?
Yes.
So the owner of the house was a woman cop that beat him? That's what I initially thought after talking to Can paramedic. Then I saw the guy.
And those last two are your responses, is that correct?
Yes.
Now, the following text messages are from your friends.
Wait a damn minute. Let me get my soundboard up because I got to get used to using this again. What was that? What did Fulmati think, and then you changed your mind? One moment. I need to go back. Just a second.
Did he get beat up?
Did he get beat up?
And you responded to that, is that correct?
I did.
The objection sustained is deferred.
What, if any, response did you provide to that?
Nope.
Nope. Cat's out of the bag. You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. Right? He's like, say what now? You said nope. Because you already had your mind made up, sir. We all know it. And you know it.
Let's do the former question and the answer.
I'll strike it.
Now turning your attention to 2534. And from this page, sir, if you could again just read through as far as indicating to the
Ooh,
jury.
he's regretting he's regretting his past text messages. Like, you know, when you drunk text an ex. I think he's realizing, oh man, I messed up.
Speaking of what is being said.
From the start of the first text, so the owner of the house?
Yes.
So the owner of the house was a woman cop that beat him? That's what I initially thought after talking to Canton paramedic. Then I saw the guy.
And those last two are your responses, is that correct?
Yes.
Now, the following text messages are from your friends, is that correct?
Yes.
What do they say?
Bear, let's focus. What does she waffle to mean? What's the story? I responded, she hit him with her car.
And the she that you're referring
Oh, really? I wonder why and how you came to that conclusion so fast. Amazing. And why are you telling these people, whom I get it, it's your buddies and it's your co-workers or whatever, colleagues, why are you telling them this? That alone should be enough to be like, tisk tisk, you need to be reprimanded. But it gets worse.
to there? Who was that?
Ms. Reed.
Oh, he's getting
Now, turning your
red.
attention to the next page, 2535. Again, if you could start at the top of the page and read through that page and just indicate to the jury who is talking and what is being said.
Okay. My friend in Tennessee states, okay, that's fucked up. I respond, intentional or not. Then another response, gotcha. He was frozen in the driveway and she didn't see him, question mark. That's another animal we won't be able to prove. And then I respond, they
Another animal. What was the first animal? Chloe from Vermont. Oh, Chloe in Vermont. Ooh. The choice of words is key. You got to really listen to them. Not just the ones about searching for Karen's nudes and her digestive issues that you degrade her with. Another animal you can't prove. Gotcha.
arrived at the house together, gone to an argument.
I don't speak out loud or out of turn.
The objection's overruled.
Your Honor,
But
if I could say this, there needs to be an identifier of who's speaking.
I understand what you think the mix-up is. So, Mr. Lally, go back.
Thank you.
Sir, if you could please, again, start at the top of the page and just indicate.
No, just after the gotcha, he was frozen in the driveway, correct, Mr. Jackson?
That's correct, Your Honor. Thank you.
I respond, that's another animal we won't be able to prove. I follow that up. They arrived at the house together, got into an argument. She was driving and left. 781 number responds with, what's the name of the Canton cop living in Canton, the other one involved.
And how do you respond to that, sir?
There's several other messages before I issue a response.
Objection again. Bottom of the page.
So it's not an objection, but Mr. Lally, why don't you point him?
Alan Jackson just laughed in his face, in her face.
So, sir, at the
like,
bottom of
ugh.
page 2535, you have a response. Is that correct?
Correct.
And what is that response?
They arrived at the house together, got into an argument. She was driving and left.
Objection.
So it's going to be a matter you can address on cross.
There has to be some accuracy with the reading.
So I understand.
Okay, there has to be some accuracy. I understand. Are they mincing the words of the text messages? Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's quite obvious. You can't just. Maybe there was some misspellings. I'm not sure. I can't see what he's seeing, but I have an idea that they're not stating what was actually texted.
So, Mr. Lally, why don't you go point for your witness?
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Okay. It's a HTML link, whiteout /Proctor iCloud /group chat Feb 2022. So you point out.
Can I see what you have for a second, please?
Yes, Your Honor.
Let me have it.
Mr. Lally, it's on there. Why don't you go show your witness? Why don't you just read
One
it,
more
Mr.
again.
Lally, and tell us who you attribute it to?
Sure. So, sir, what I'm asking you about is the bottom of page 2535, 2535. You indicated Bifton, correct?
Correct.
What did you mean by that?
That Ms. Reed had struck Mr. O'Keefe with her vehicle.
So there it is. You said that's what she did before. It was like the day. It was later in the night of that day that he was found and pronounced deceased. Great. Okay.
Now, sir, if I could direct your attention to page 2537.
That's what he said, Gmo.
Now, do you see a response toward the bottom of the page from yourself, January 29, 2022 at 11:04 p.m.?
Yes.
And can you read that response for the jury?
Yeah, but there'll be some serious charges brought on the girl.
And what did you mean by that, sir?
Oh.
That throughout the course of the day, we had compelling evidence that Ms. Reed struck Mr. O'Keefe with her vehicle.
And you have two responses from friends.
That's a lie.
Friends, at the bottom of that page, 2537, is that correct?
That's correct.
And what are those responses?
Keep your voice up loud, please. Trooper Proctor, jurors can't hear you.
Say it with your whole chest, Proctor. You had a lot to say in them text messages. Speak on it.
Yes, Your Honor. Number ending in 5051. Got to be. I can only imagine what internal affairs of the BPD are trying to get out there. The second response, same number. She hot at least.
Ooh, dirty, dirty. Is she hot at least? Why do I know men are pigs, right? In that department. Why do they always go to, well, is she hot enough to talk about getting with her? This alleged murderer. Men are just necessary for the continuation of human
And
life.
turning your attention to the next page, 2538.
We thank you.
At the top, if you could just read a series of responses from yourself, correct?
Yes, sir.
Read from those, sir.
Yep, so these came from me. From all accounts, he didn't do anything wrong. She's a whack job. CUNT.
Objection.
Say it with your whole chest,
So
Proctor.
don't spell it. You have to. So these are your words, Trooper Proctor.
Yes, Your Honor.
Go ahead and say them.
Cunt. Yes.
Ouch. Oh, God bless America. Came swinging with the see you next Tuesday. Damn.
She's a babe. Weird Fall River accent, though. No ass.
Poor Karen Reed. Call her a cunt and then tell her she ain't have the peach. She don't have the booty. My God. I mean, think about this. She just lost her boyfriend. She's being accused of a murder. And now she's having to sit here and listen to this. Watch how red her face gets when they cam over to her a few times. I would be jumping over that table where she's at, and my hands would be somewhere. Okay, where a charge would be brought upon me. I know that.
And, sir, what is it that you were referring to there, or why would you text that?
These were, from all accounts, he didn't do anything wrong. Is talking about the homeowner, Mr. Albert. I had mentioned the compelling evidence against Ms. Reed at this point indicated that Mr. Albert had nothing to do with Mr. O'Keefe's death. The rest of the unprofessional and regrettable comments are something I'm not proud of, and I shouldn't have wrote in a private or any type of setting.
But you did.
Sir.
But you did.
At some point, if I could turn your attention to page 2540. And there's a photograph that's shared within this text communication, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And does it indicate who shared that photograph? From the prior page, possible.
The number ending in 5051.
And who is depicted in that photograph that was shared within the group text?
It's Miss Reed being escorted out of the State Police Milton Barracks.
And these are all from February 1st of 2022, around that time frame, is that correct?
Yes.
The one he helped set up with Berkowitz to get on camera and
Now, sir,
shame
if I
her.
can direct you to page 2543. And sir, if I could direct you to the top of the page and ask you to read through that page, indicating who's speaking and what the content of those communications are.
Okay. Number ending in 4146. Question, is that chick a smoke? Again, 4146 question mark. I respond EH. I respond again, nutbag, as chief would say. I also respond with, she's got a leaky balloon knot, leaks poo.
And what if
Oof. So in the arraignment hearing, Yannetti has to explain to the judge that, listen, she's not a flight risk. Do not put her bond at $50,000. You know, she's got health issues, da 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 da, and had to explain about that. So they're explaining to each other what was said at the actual first arraignment. And honestly, maybe actually, I take that back. I apologize. That might be misinformation. So let me take that back, because I think she spoke to them prior and that information came out from Karen, because it had to have been, because this was on the 29th of January. So I guess I'm assuming that. So either it came from Karen and they knew about it and he's already talking about her private health information, or he got it from the arraignment. That's going to make a big difference on the ethical standpoint. I mean, it's unethical no matter what, but maybe there is some implications for saying that if it was prior to the arraignment. Does that make sense? That's kind of where I'm getting at. I'll look into it more and see what happened, because it's a big deal. I hope she sues.
If anything, is that in reference to this?
Again, to Ms. Reed's some medical conditions there. Again, unprofessional comments I should not have made.
We know.
That I'm not proud of.
Right.
As far
but
as attitudes expressed within these text messages and other text messages, what, if any, impact did that have as far as your investigation was concerned regarding this?
agreed, Lenny.
These juvenile, unprofessional comments have zero impact on the facts and the evidence and the integrity of this investigation. They said these are unprofessional comments, but they absolutely do not detract from the integrity of the investigation or the facts and evidence of it.
Your Honor, may I approach this retrieve?
Yes.
iCloud Air of your personal phone, correct?
Correct.
And among those, are there communications that you had with members of the Canton Police Department?
Yes.
And how would you characterize, or what was the general content of communications that you had with members of the Canton Police Department?
One communication was to coordinate interview times for firefighters and police officers, and to set up a conference room where those interviews could be conducted. Obviously, the presence of Canton detectives or any police officers were not going to be sitting in on these interviews. Another communication was to inquire of relevant security videos that are in the area. Their local department, they know the area very well, so I had reached out and asked if there's some good cameras in the area that I had kind of interest in.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
Yeah, save yourself as if you're doing a good job. But we know better.
I'm showing you another document. Just asking if you recognize that.
Yes, I do.
What do you recognize that to be, sir?
Text communications between my sister and I.
That's your sister Courtney, is that correct?
That's correct.
And similar to what I'd asked you about the prior packet, as far as a first message sent date and time, last message sent date and time, what is indicated on this first?
First message sent date time, December 10th, 2021 at 9:33 p.m. Last message sent 8:30, 2022 at 8:48 p.m.
And 8:30, that's August 30th, is that correct?
I'm sorry, yes, August 30th, 2022.
And similarly to the other messages, is there an indication as far as how many number of messages were sent between yourself and your sister over that time period?
2,865.
And fair to say that the documents in front of you do not contain 2,865 messages?
Correct.
Now, just in reference to the first message on page 2662, the first page in this packet.
I just looked at me and my sister's text messages in the last 2 years. It's really sad. It's only 167. Maybe we call. I honestly, I know better. We don't call each other often. 2,000. Goodness.
Packet, do you see that from December 10th of 2021 at approximately 9:33 p.m.?
Yes.
And what does that indicate?
A text message from my sister.
What does it say?
I called earlier, Dolph earlier, and Mom was puking in the background.
And do you recall what that was in regard to?
Mommy had a tummy
Sounds like
bug.
My mother had a stomach bug.
It's probably from the stress of having all this on her shoulders. Mm-hmm.
And sir, if I could direct your attention to page 2667. And these are text messages from January 29th, 2022, between yourself and your sister Courtney. Correct?
Correct.
And if you could read from the top of the page through the end, and please indicate to the jury as far as who's talking and who's saying what.
So I texted my sister at work, "What's up?" She responds, "What? Why?" I respond, "I just found it frozen to death on a front lawn in Canton this morning. Actually just interviewed Jen McCabe, said she knows you."
And they knows you, who are you referring to?
My sister.
And how did your sister respond to that?
Cut the shit. I responded, "You." There was a typo correction with my response to you.
So Jim McCabe said she knew you. Jim McCabe is not good at this. No acquaintances. You suck at this. See, not only was Jim McCabe at him and his wife's house, which Turtle Boy outed by friends of his, but also they were caught with Carrie at Blank's house. Carrie Roberts being the other witness driving her SUV with Karen and Jim McCabe, who found John O'Keefe on the lawn that morning. What a tangled web we weave.
She responded, "Yeah, she knows Jack very well. She's really good friends with Julie." My sister continues on. Her sister is married to Brian Albert. My sister asks, "You still working?" ? I said, yeah, going to be out for a while. Homicide.
And as far as your answers to those questions, or as far as your communications that you had with your sister at this time on the afternoon of January 29th, what were those in regard to, or why were you communicating that to your sister?
At that time, it was just kind of in the news. I was just kind of letting her know I was out working. She didn't share anything specific. I wouldn't share anything specific on cases with my family or anyone. It was just kind of an overall innocent conversation.
Now, turning your attention to the next page, 2669. Again, if you could read from that page as far as who was talking and what the content is.
All right. My sister starts off, "The Canton thing is a homicide." I respond, "This is at 3 in the afternoon on the 29th. Don't say a word to anyone." She said, "Of course not." I respond, "At the very least, it's suspicious." She responds, "This is your livelihood." And then I would never miss with that. 3:07, I respond, "Julie and Chris were at the bar with the victim and girlfriend. Got to interview them."
Wow. telling about who he is interviewing by 3 p.m.
I'd like to direct your attention to page 2672. These are messages from February 1st, 2022, is that correct?
Correct.
And the one at the top starts about February 1st, 5:57 p.m., is that correct?
Yes.
And again, if you could read through as far as who's speaking and what the content of those messages are.
I texted my sister, "What's up?" She responded, "Nothing. I just saw Julie, and she said when this is all over, she wants to get you a thank you gift." And I respond,
Huh? A gift for what? Like, what do you need? And for why? A gift is like, thank you for doing something for me. Or you are special because of whatever this is going on. You get a gift. And he goes, don't get me one, get my wife one. So I don't get in trouble for bribery, right?
"Get Elizabeth one." Elizabeth's my wife. And my sister responds, "Because I guess her and Chris were friends with John, and she's so proud of you for leading this." And then she writes, "Elizabeth, question mark?" I respond with, "She's been stuck with the kids for the last 10 nights. My sister responded with, "Yeah, but she knew what life is like married to a cop."
And sir, as far as the gift that's mentioned, as far as Julie Albert, is that anything that you have received at any point in time?
I never received a gift. I never asked for a gift. My wife never received a gift. She never asked for a gift.
How would you describe this context of this conversation or why that's being discussed at this time?
Again, I don't know the thought process of my sister and Julie as far as bringing that idea of a gift into play. Like I said, I didn't ask for one. I never received one. The same with my wife.
Sir, if I could direct your attention to page 2676. And again, if I could ask you to start at the top of the page and read through and just indicate as far as who is saying, who is speaking and what they're talking.
I start out, "We write like 8 to 12 warrants on each case." My sister responded, "No, I have no idea what the hell you do or how it works." I responded on the 10th at 7:36 p.m. "I'm starving, but I also just want to go home.
Just
Thanks,
a
though."
suggestion.
My sister responds, "Yeah, but is dinner going to be waiting?" She responded with, "Ha, ha, ha." And then I responded, "Yep." And then my sister responded with, "Okay, it's fine. Mom and I just don't want to go home."
May I approach her?
Yes.
Mhm.
May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
Yes.
5:20.
Speak directly into your microphone the way I'm doing, okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
To around 9:21 p.m.
Another long sidebar. We're about to get to Jackson. Almost over. Then we're going to get to the funny stuff, and let's get at it.
Yes.
Yeah, I see it, sir. 9:21 p.m. Last message sent, date and time, 8/24/2022, 4:56 p.m.
And as far as the number of messages indicated within this text chain between yourself, Trooper Kukowski, and Trooper DeChico,
494.
fair to say the documents before you do not contain 494 text messages, correct?
Correct.
Just in reference to that first page 2635, first message sent, that's May 24th, 2022, around 9:21 p.m., is that correct?
Yes.
And that's a message sent from Trooper Kukowski, is that correct?
Correct.
And what is that?
So his
Appears
coworkers.
to be a picture of a toy Santa Claus.
Now, sir, if I could direct your attention to page 2644.
God, Lally wants me to just like stab my ears. I can't
If I
stand
could
the
direct you
guy.
to the bottom of the page, sir, and see the text from yourself at June 9th, 2022 at 11:19 p.m.
Wow, Lenny.
Yes.
Very bottom of the page. You know, I may approach just to point it out.
Yes.
Yeah, I see it, sir. Okay.
If you could read what you wrote on June 9th,
that looked like a kindergartner book for like the beginnings of how to learn how to write numbers. That did not look complicated. And Lally had to point that out to him where to go like 3 times earlier. Oh my.
2022, around that time, sir.
If you like women who shit themselves.
Again, sir, what is it that you're referring to there?
Oh my God. If you like women who shit themselves, asking if she's hot. If you like women who shit themselves. That's incorrect, first of all. Second of all, fuck you, dude. I bet you were shitting yourself when you got that federal grand jury subpoena.
Again, a regrettable comment I made about Miss Reed's medical condition.
Now, if I could direct you to the following page, 2645. And again, if you could read from that page as far as who is, indicate to the jury who is speaking and what is being said on page 2645.
I'm speaking right now. The statement she made tonight at 8/7 was mental. Thank Christ it was on BWC, which is body worn camera.
Oh, so
Trooper
it was?
Kukowski responds, that's her. Smoke. Trooper Kukowski again, what'd she say? I respond, said the Alberts beat the shit out of O'Keefe, left him for dead, and that's why her taillight was cracked. She's gross. Trooper DeChico.
Wow. So early on, she's saying John O'Keefe was beaten to death. I mean, she said it from the beginning. Probably after a few days, right? God.
Oh, fuck her, bitch.
Oh.
Thanks, sir. Can I approach to retrieve your arm?
Yes.
This is where it gets really bad.
Sir, with reference to that last bit as far as June 9th, 2022, what was going on that day in reference to this matter again?
Miss Reed was being processed at the Milton Barracks.
Thank you.
Her charge was upgraded to second-degree murder from vehicular manslaughter because Jim McCabe's statements of I hit him. Because her hostile to die in cold was about to come out and eat her alive. Not for a while, but karma's good sometimes.
I may have just a moment, Your Honor.
Yes.
Of Mr. Yannetti.
Is that correct?
Correct. Dave DeChico and Sergeant Yuri Buchanan.
And what is the first message sent, date and time?
That would be 5/26/2022 at 8:19 p.m. Last message sent, date and time, 8/26/2022, 5:36 p.m.
And what is listed as far as the number of messages within this chain? Page.
Of Mr. Yannetti, appears to be from quite some time ago.
Now, turning your attention to the next page, 2684.
So
there's a response from.
He sends these troopers, which Bukaki is involved in this string. He sends a picture of Karen Reed's defense attorney, Mr. Yannetti. Just wait.
You, August 17th, 2022 at 9:44 p.m. Is that correct?
Sorry, sir, go with the date and time again, please.
Sure. Page 2684, 8/17/2022, 9:44 p.m.
So August 17th.
See, there's like sort of 3 responses from you.
I have you now.
If you could just read the 3 responses from yourself, sir.
Okay, so these came from me. Funny, I'm going through his retarded client's phone. No nude so far. I hate that man. I truly hate him.
Now.
Oh my God. So first of all, he's politically incorrect. But he's also insensitive. We don't use that. How old are you, sir? This is not the 90s where it was semi-acceptable ish. We don't do that. And he just called Karen Reed. You just heard it. The R word. And I truly hate this man. Well, I bet you do. He's coming after you, sir. He is ready to get you with your own words. I would hate someone who is owning me on my bullshit too.
With reference to the investigation, at this point, when you're talking about his client's phone, who are you referring to?
Miss Reed.
And with regards to the phone at that point, can you describe for the jury sort of what's going on during this time period of August 17, 2022 in regard to Ms. Reed's phone?
So after obtaining a search warrant for Miss Reed's phone, we weren't able to extract any data from it until August of 2023. Troopers in my office knew I was going through the phone that evening. I was most interested in location data, text messages, Google searches.
You were interested in nudes, sir. No nudes so far. Because you weren't looking for evidence. You were looking to humiliate her even more.
That was the update I gave the troopers in the office. It was a distasteful joke. I should have gave a proper update instead of that.
Thank you for stopping by, Sarah.
I wasn't
Good
able to go through the phone as thoroughly as possible because I came across some a text between an attorney and Miss Reed, so I had to stop going through her phone, and I made my supervisor aware of those communications.
Oh, bullshit. You read every single one of them. And you probably went, oh no, I'm in trouble. Oops. He got me. They're on to me. Somebody help.
Now, just in reference to what you had just said, this is in August of 2022, is that correct?
Correct.
So after a search warrant is obtained for, you're looking through the phone, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so sidebar because it's Lally's turn. I mean, excuse me, Jackson's turn. Let's go.
Language.
By the night.
Objection.
I'll allow it.
Summer of 2022.
Okay. He owns Trooper Proctor. I mean, just owns him. Cannot wait for trial on Wednesday. This is probably going to continue. I'm hoping that they don't harp on certain aspects of the text messages because we get it. We get it. Home dude is trash, garbage. He's garbage. She's a loser. We know this. We know it. But it really is just embarrassing for Karen. I feel embarrassed for her, right? I hope she doesn't have to endure too much more of this. It gets bad.
You are unmuted. All right, so just before you start then, so we'll finish at 4. We're trying to figure out the schedule this time. I'm going to meet with the lawyers and witnesses. We're trying to work all that out, but as it looks,
Summer of 2022, August 17th specifically, you were sitting at your desk, presumably alone at your office, at about 10 p.m. at night, going through my client's personal cell phone, correct?
Yes, sir.
As a matter of fact, you were sitting there texting with your friends and colleagues at Massachusetts State Police about you going through her personal cell phone. Is that right?
Correct, sir.
And that included Trooper DeChico, is that right?
DeChico, yes, sir.
Trooper Fanning, Trooper Butnick, Trooper Moore, and Trooper Kaczkowski?
Kakowski.
Tell me that again?
Kakowski.
Kakowski.
Yes, sir.
All right, all the consonants are silent. Fair enough. Trooper Fanning and Trooper Butnick are your supervisors.
Yes.
And you were bragging to all 5 of them that you were going through Karen Reed's cell phone about 9:45 at night.
Objection.
I'll allow it.
Is that right?
No, I wasn't bragging, sir.
These are his superiors, and he is doing this, and they're cool with it. And you're about to hear how they feel about his actions, what he says.
How did you refer to Ms. Reed in that text exchange? when you
Agreed,
informed
Lenny.
them that you were going through her phone?
I use regrettable language. I said going through his retarded client's phone right now.
You were shown a photograph of my colleague, Mr. Unetti, correct?
Yes.
Can I approach?
Yes.
Same document. Your Honor, I think the court has the copy that I was going to use.
I thought I gave him back to you.
You'd received a photograph. Actually, Your Honor, if I could, I would ask that this document be marked as next in order. Assuming the witness verifies its authenticity.
So go ahead.
Do you recognize this document?
I do, sir.
Same document that you were shown, copy of the same document that you were shown by Mr. Yannetti, correct?
Still Lally.
I've done that twice. Mr. Lally.
Correct.
All right. Is that a true and accurate reflection of the text messages that you were exchanging with Chris Moore, Jeff Kakowski, John Fanning, Vito DiCicco, and Yuri Buchanan?
Bev was upset that those names were getting out.
Yes.
I've asked that this be marked.
Okay, any objection?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, I'll see you outside on there. Have that, please.
Yes, ma'am.
I bet you did have an objection. It's devastating to my case. Objection. Sustained. Ask it a different way, Jackson. Ridiculous. Do you see how pissed she looks? I get it. I feel the fumes, and you have every right to feel that way. You're acting better than I would. I know that.
May I inquire, Your Honor?
Yes.
Trooper Proctor, Trooper DiCicco had sent you a photograph of my colleague, Mr. Yannetti, correct?
Yes.
Your Honor, because of the technical issue, I'm not going to display on the television. May I display this hard copy briefly? Sure. Thank you. You see that, gentlemen?
I do, sir.
Is that the photograph that you received?
Yes.
Is that what you referred to on direct examination with Mr. Lally about receiving a photograph from of Mr. Yannetti?
Correct.
And then your response was what?
I hate that man. I truly hate that man.
Actually, your response
I didn't
was,
see the
I'm going through his retarded client's phone right now, correct?
Yes, after the picture, sir, yes.
I know,
Who's
Jeep, right?
the retarded client?
I was referring to Miss Reed, again, unprofessional language.
I'm asking who you were referring to.
Miss
I know
Reed.
You got an explanation. Who was it you were referring to as retarded?
Miss Reed.
Karen Reed, the woman sitting to my left.
So I like this trick because it's very obvious that he's like, you know that this is his attorney, her attorney, and you're admitting that you're going through his client's phone. Obviously, you know that's her attorney. You were implicating yourself. He already admitted on the stand that it was wrong once he, quote unquote, saw the messages, client attorney privilege messages. He had to stop looking. He a lie. He's a whole ass lie because he just admitted it. He just admitted it on the stand.
Sir.
The subject of your investigation as a professional, correct?
Yes, sir.
As an unbiased, objective investigator, the person that you were investigating, you referred to your bosses as retarded, correct?
Again, poor language on my part.
Poor language is one way to put it. Completely offensive is another way to put it, right?
Objection.
I've got to sustain that, Mr. Jackson.
After you referred to my client as retarded, then you decided to make a comment about Mr. Yannetti, her lawyer, correct?
Correct.
And what did you say about Mr. Yannetti again?
I hate that man. I truly hate that man.
I hate that man. I truly hate him, correct?
Correct.
You didn't say I dislike him, disagree with him. You said I hate him, correct?
Correct, sir.
That's a visceral response to someone who's just doing a job, correct?
Objection.
Sustained. You can ask it differently.
Sure. Let me ask it this way. Were you upset or annoyed or pissed off that Karen Reed had gotten representation, legal representation, to represent her?
No, not at all. That's her right.
Well, let me ask you this. In August
Look at their faces.
of 2022, you said you absolutely
I love
did,
it.
correct?
I don't know if I use absolutely. Yeah, I didn't use absolutely, sir.
You used truly, correct?
Truly, yes.
How do you feel about it now? Sitting right there.
I still don't cheer for him now.
Right.
Wow.
I'll let it stand.
Bev lets it stand. The one that sustains every damn objection, right? Against the defense. She said, he goes, how do you feel about Mr. Yannetti now? I still don't care for him now. I bet you don't. But he's got the upper hand because who's on the witness stand right now? Fighting for your life and your job, which you probably won't have one by the end of the day.
What did you
I
tell your
agree,
colleagues that you were
Christine.
looking for as you sat
And
at
welcome
almost
in.
10 p.m. at night on a
I
Wednesday
agree.
night, August 17th, 2022, looking through Karen Reed's phone?
I didn't tell them I was looking through anything. They knew I was going through Miss Reed's phone. I provided a inappropriate joke as an update. They knew I was going through location data, text messages, Google searches. But like I had mentioned earlier, I had stopped.
Except for Proctor, none of that really professional sounding.
Sir, do you want to roll them eyes like that again? Mm-mm. I'm not meant for professionalism, obviously.
Stuff ended up in your comments to your bosses. Did it?
Again, it was a poor joke.
Is that yes or no?
Did not know.
It did not.
No,
As a
sir.
matter of fact, what did you write after you talked about going through the, quote, retarded client's phone?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
I bet you would.
No nude so far.
No nudes so far, correct?
Correct.
No nude so far, guys. That's how you behave as a investigator and another Boston police officer or a fellow law enforcement officer. That's how you treat his girl. Framer, because you're a McAlbert, a friend of the McAlberts, whatever you want to call it. Frame her and then exploit her and then degrade her. That's the state trooper way, I guess, over there.
You said that to your bosses.
Yes, sir.
You were looking for naked photographs of Miss Reed on a Wednesday night as you sat in your office at 9:44 p.m., correct?
No, not correct.
Thank you, Mr. Eve.
Let me ask you a question. Have you ever looked for naked photos of a male suspect that you were investigating?
I don't look for naked photos on anyone's phones.
But you said you were looking for nudes of Miss Reed, correct?
Sir. He's that type of kid. I bet you this was him. Cookie crumbs all over his mouth and shirt. I did not eat your cookies. Maybe you ate the cookies. I don't eat cookies. I like cupcakes. While there's a cookie in his hand. That's the type of motherfucker this guy is.
It said, Mr. Jackson, it was an inappropriate joke.
Sir, this is a citizen.
Yes, Sarah. He
She's a
got
woman.
caught in the cookie jar.
You were supposed to be objectively investigating. Does your text message to your colleagues at Massachusetts State Police reflect an objective investigation of a citizen?
Objection.
You can get part of that question and ask it again.
Do you believe that your text messages were reflective of an objective investigator?
Objection.
I'll allow that. Do you believe that, Trooper Proctor?
I believe poor jokes have, in unprofessional language, have no bearing on the integrity and the facts and physical evidence of this case.
Really? Why do you think that?
Not that they don't have any bearing on the facts and integrity, it's that they have no place in a professional investigation because it shows bias, right?
Objection.
So I have to sustain that as asked. Go ahead and ask it differently, Mr. Jackson.
You weren't so much as objectively investigating Karen Reed as objectifying her, correct?
Objection.
I'll allow that.
Isn't that right?
Rephrase the question, please.
You weren't so much as objectively investigating her as objectifying her in those moments, correct?
Again, Mr. Jackson, it was a poor choice of words and a joke that I should not have texted out, but from the start of the investigation, we didn't know what we had.
And your, Trooper Proctor, your point in saying no nudes so far to your colleagues in Massachusetts State Police was to suggest that you were looking for nudes and you'd update them when you found them, correct?
Incorrect.
Well, let me ask you a question. Did you find any nudes of
Again,
Karen Reed?
I didn't go through the photos, sir.
Did you find any nudes of Karen Reed?
I didn't go through the photos, sir.
You weren't successful in your quest.
I came across text messages from Miss Reed to another attorney on January 29th, so I had to stop looking through her phone.
So you got sidetracked before you could get to the naked pictures of Miss Reed. Is that what you're saying?
Sustained.
To be clear, when you
He
sent
didn't
those text
find the
messages
nudes, guy.
on that group chat, those text messages included, as we said, as you said, not one but two of your supervisors, correct?
Correct.
Were you ever reprimanded for your conduct in sending that text message?
Objection.
So that's sustained. Do we need to go to sidebar based on what you told me earlier?
We do not.
Okay, so,
I'll ask you a different way.
okay.
Did either Trooper Fanning or Trooper Buchanan dress you down in a responsive text message in that text thread for doing something so abhorrent as looking for nudes or referring to nudes of a female suspect or subject of your investigation? Did that ever happen?
Not that I can recall.
All right. So I hope that Proctor and the other two get either reprimanded or fired. It's really that simple. It's really that simple. They are awful in Massachusetts and Idaho. By the way, Idaho is really bad about reporting and then investigating and then reprimanding these state troopers. Yeah, I would call for their heads, right? You lose your job, you don't get any bereavement pay, as they call it, as a joke, for losing their job, right? They get paid. They get go on leave and get paid for it while they sit on their couch and eat Cheetos and then look through people's phones for nudes. No. You need to use these people right here as an example for all of the rest in the world, or at least in the United States, that you lose your job. You don't get any benefits for being a corrupt piece of shit, garbage human being. Period. We let people get away with too much in these positions of authority, and they need to be used as examples. Why not? They're protecting potential murderers who are in law enforcement.
As a matter of fact, in reference to one of the text messages in the same string, your boss, Yuri Buchanan, actually responded to the photo of Mr. Yannetti, didn't he?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
Absolutely, Sarah.
He did, sir.
After you received the photo, that's when you said, I'm, quote, funny, I'm going through his retarded client's phone. Is that right?
Objection.
God.
I'll allow this, but not too many.
Sure. Is that correct? It's on the top of page
Yes, sir.
685.
That's correct.
And Yuri Buchanan liked that comment. Funny, I'm going through his retarded client's phone. Didn't he?
Ooh,
I see
Bukaki
you left
likes
out an image here,
that.
sir.
Ooh.
I can't tell if he liked that comment, sir.
Can I approach?
Yes.
I don't know if it's just because it's faded or, yeah, my copy's faded.
Top 2685. You can use my copy if that helps.
All right. Thank you.
What do you see on the top of that page?
Sergeant Buchanan liked it.
Like what?
The going through his retarded client's phone, sir.
May I approach? Yes.
Man.
There you go.
So your supervisors at Massachusetts State
We're
Police
almost done.
not only didn't ride you for making comments like this, he encouraged it.
Objection.
Sustained.
Trooper Proctor, this is your direct chain of command. Is that right? Yuri Buchanan?
Yes, sir.
Did you believe that your conduct was a misuse of your authority and power as you were going through her phone in August of 2022?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
Wow.
No, I had a warrant signed by a district clerk, Stoughton District Clerk, to go through Miss Reed's phone. I don't think it was an abuse of power. I had every right to go through that phone.
Did the warrant say anything about looking for nudes of my client?
Objection.
Did it
I mean,
say anything about that?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, next question.
So that would be an abuse of the power that was given to you by the court, correct?
Objection.
Sustained.
but Bev is making him look like a fool, but she's not going to let him self-incriminate, right? Just enough to hang himself socially. But I mean, the damage is done. He pretty much already has, especially ethically.
Trooper Proctor, you'd agree that the hallmark of any good investigation, as you've been taught and others in Massachusetts State Police have been taught, is that the investigation and the investigator have to be fair. They have to be impartial. Would you agree with that?
Yes, sir.
Meaning that the investigation has to be free of conflicts, right?
Yes, sir.
The investigator has to be free of conflicts, right?
Yes.
The investigation has to be free of bias. Is that right?
Correct.
You can't be biased against the person that you're investigating. That would compromise the entire thing, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Basically, you follow the evidence. You're supposed to follow the evidence wherever it takes you, right?
Correct.
Good or bad, top
Me
to
too,
bottom,
Sarah.
just follow the evidence and report it back. That's how an investigation is supposed to be run, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
And these are things that you learn early on at Massachusetts State Police Academy and then in your detective training. Isn't that right?
It is.
Literally, it's part of an oath that you took at the academy that you will, quote, faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all of the duties incumbent on you as a Massachusetts State Police trooper, right?
Yes, sir.
You swore that oath.
I did.
When you start an investigation, everybody in that investigation should be treated exactly the same. Don't you believe that's true?
Correct.
But they weren't, and we know it, and you tried to help your boys out. So, I cannot believe that is at this moment on Twitter and other social media platforms, his words to his buddies were just men being men. And I'm not one of those social justice warriors by any means. But can that shit? It's not about that. It's about being a scumbag, being a bad person in a authoritative figure of power. And you're abusing it. You're a bad human being. All right, so some funny stuff before we go. And I promise I'll let you go. I thought we were going to run through this. Took longer than expected. But Chloe Albert, which is the name of the dog, Chloe, that probably did attack John O'Keefe in some point of whatever happened to him. So there is an ex user. Hilarious. I wonder how much Captain Small Table makes. And look, this is not an enemy by any means. It's just a parody account, but that poor guy had to get this small little table to do all of his hard work. I hope he gets paid a lot of money. I just thought that was really funny. Sir, so Captain Small Table. Okay. I go to my bookmarks. This is a little insensitive. I'm going to warn you. If you don't have a dark sense of humor, this isn't for you. I'm not trying to make light in any way, shape, or form of John O'Keefe's murder. He needs to get justice. But sometimes, dark humor gets people through things because it's difficult. This does go a little outside of the realm, but it's not grotesque or anything. But it's funny. This video kills me. All right, Mom Juggling Life at mom_juggling has the best Twitter recaps of every day of the Karen Read trial. What I learned day 22 of why we are still having a Karen Read trial. Auntie Bev is upset about having to come back from her seaside cottage to attend court. So much so that she creates a double standard in the courtroom where Lally can ask irrelevant questions about Yannetti. Relevant questions, but Yannetti can have 5 to 10 minutes to argue why their expert is vital to their case. Right. Lally got a haircut and his confidence improved slightly that his slouch improved by 15 degrees. He is a sloucher. Number 3. Auntie Bev has imposed a slaughter rule in the courtroom because the defense has such a huge lead. That was a good one. Number 4. Spicy Yuri was being evasive and would not do simple math as to how much time is missing from the salad board video on Jackson's demand. There was a lot. This was either earlier today, but I know for sure day 21. Oh my God. Number 6. Everyone is still asking why Lally asked if snow fell off of John's car. Oh, I still don't understand that whole thing. Lally is a joke. Number 7, Barrow's detective from Dighton testified the taillight was cracked and missing one piece. Number 8, Proctor Trooper, as Jim McCabe so says, aka Taillight Fairy, took the stand and I'm effectively sick to my stomach. Amen to that. Number 9, his friends call him Chip due to the huge chip in his soul as a human being. Yep. Number 10, Lizzie Proctor is calling employers again. Oh, she really does this, y'all. She's calling employers again after hearing there was a state trooper who called a suspect a "see you next Tuesday" whack job, making fun of a medical condition in the most vile way. She called for his dismissal and then she found out it's her husband. Oh, Lizzie is a doozy. Proctor Trooper talks to his sister 5 to 6 times a day. Number 12, Proctor Trooper thinks he's fine because he never accepted Julie Howard's gifts. He's in the clear. He never asked for them, nor did he get them. Okay? It's fine. Number 13. Excuse me. Someone fed Proctor after midnight because after working more than 8 hours, he turns into an evil, misogynistic gremlin. He needs a Snickers. A misogynistic Snickers. Proctor testified that he would not share specific case information with family or friends after reading texts where he shared case-specific information with family and friends, and then read more texts to his sister sharing information. Number 15, Norfolk MSP believe they can influence the medical examiner cause of death. Yeah, I did not play that, but that definitely was a big, huge piece. I must have skipped it, but yeah, that happened. They said that they should have, if they were there, they would have done a better job of getting the medical examiner to say exactly what the cause of death was. Bananas. Proctor has clear bias against Karen Reed and couldn't perform an impartial investigation, obviously. I really wonder about Proctor's mother and sister. Most men who had close relationships with women family members have more respect for women. Shame on you for raising such a piece of shit. Karen Reed asked if she had anything to say to Proctor while leaving court. I don't have anything to say to Proctor Trooper. He will have to answer to someone someday. The epitome of class. Bang, bang. Perfectly said. Christina MS, you would have done his strip dance for the, right? Yeah, ride that, button-up shirt. So Auntie Bev's side bar and grill. I had a lot of suggestions. I think I deleted about 6 of my ideas, but I did put 2 in here that I thought would stick. So Auntie Bev's side bar and grill parody account says that they need bar night specials. We have the Bang Bang. Drop in a White Claw. It's a roll up, bitch. Colin Albert. The Higgsy, Brian Higgins. The D&E, which is a mediocre fireball shot served in a dirty glass. 3, 2, 1, let's go. So I said, the Voyageur. Delicious impeachment margarita. Auntie Bev says, sounds refreshing. I'll have 2. The next one I said, what if sort of anything? Well, of course, what if sort of anything is Lally. I said it's a Long Island with enough alcohol to swing your blood alcohol anywhere from 0.13% to 0.29%, like they said Karen Reed's did. Boom. Thought that was pretty clever. All right. One more, and then I'm going to let y'all go. Get out of here. This one is the dark one. Okay. This one is, I'm going to leave on this. Hilarious. Thank you guys so much for being here. I'm hoping that Karen's case just exonerate her right now. She didn't do this. This trial should have never happened, in my opinion. But we're going to support her by watching her and calling out the hypocrisy and the corruption. Again, thank you for being here. Hit that like button on your way out and leave some comments below on what you think about this case. I'd love to hear your feedback. Bye, guys.
There is a game in Canton that people are talking about, the Canton cover-up board game. Be the first player to move your gumshoe to each of the 4 locations and then back to the start. And you win. Be careful if you land on a Haas long space. You'll draw a card and follow the directions. It's a game of skill, strategy, and luck. And you win. What are you waiting for? Haas long before you get yours. Play with family and friends, acquaintances. Be careful. Watch for expansion packs. Chloe endorsed. Get yours today.